With MallinCamSky, it's possible to save your camera parameters and then reload them. Right now I have the camera set to its defaults, but I'm going to show you how to change settings. So right now I'm at 0.1 millisecond exposure. Let me go to, say, a 2 millisecond exposure. Okay, so that's 2 milliseconds. Bit depth is 8. Color adjustments. Everything is at defaults. I'm going to change the gamma to 1.3. So the gamma is at 1.3. Frame rate is medium. I'm going to do a horizontal flip. The histogram is at defaults. I'm going to go to, let's make the histogram say 20 to 200. Sharpness, I'm going to go to 100. And I'm going to go to a negative view. So now let's save this, and I'm going to call this as test 3, as I have some other tests in there. So now if you've already created some different settings, let's go load the defaults. I just loaded the defaults, which shows the factory defaults, and it should show that the settings went back to 1/10 of a millisecond, which they did. Frame rate stayed unaffected. The histogram should have gone to defaults, which it did. Sharpness went to 0, its default, which it did. And it went to a positive view. So now let's load a different setting. Let's go to settings 3, the one I just created, and load. Now it went to 20 to 200 in the histogram. It went to 100% in the sharpness. It went to a negative view. And the exposure should have been 2 milliseconds, which it is. Let's try another one. Let's go to test 1. Load. Dock. Test 1 had an exposure of 1.5 milliseconds. It had a vertical flip. Histogram was 0 to 100 instead of the 20 to 200 I had for test 3. Sharpness was at 100, and it's in a positive. One more. Let's go to test test 2. Changed everything to negatives. And there's the negative view. The only difference between test 1 and test 2 is one was negative and one was positive. So let me go to test 1, load, back to positive. So that shows how you can save the settings for a target and then quickly load those settings. for example, if you wanted to set the settings up for Orion Nebula, you could do that, save them. And then if you wanted to go to a fainter target, you could set up the camera for it, save it, and then load the settings for the target you're looking at.